Hello, and thank you for joining me today for Real Estate Originally You. And my name is Dr. Sylvia Black, and I'm licensed real estate broker with Affordable Homes and Apartments. And today we're going to be talking to you from my book, Achieving the Dream of Homeownership Early in Your Life. And this is a book that's step-by-step guide to buying a home. Irrespective of whether you're on Section 8 or not, it's for anyone who is interested in purchasing a home. And I want to thank you for joining me today. Now, some of the topics that we talk about, it's in the book. I basically collaborate the different people involved in the actual real estate closing, and I'll explain, what some of the terminology that I'm using. Closing is when you're sitting at the table and you're signing the documents transferring ownership over to you for the home that you purchased and you waited 2 months to move into, because the paperwork that has to be established. If you're getting a mortgage, that is. If you're paying cash, you can close in as little as 2 weeks. Okay. Now, some of the topics that I talk about, I collaborate the different people that are involved in the closing of the home, and I call it a home buying team. Okay, I call it a home buying team, and it's comprised of course, myself, real estate broker, and various other individuals and organizations that are involved in the closing. The title search company, the insurance company, the lawyer. It's very important that you have your own lawyer as the buyer, because the seller is definitely going to have his or her lawyer. Okay. At first, I used to think, I don't need a lawyer. I just sign the documents. No, you need a lawyer, okay? It's, because you never know. It could be a perfectly legitimate deal, and everything could be on the up and up. But, things could go wrong at the closing table if you don't have a lawyer. And you want to make sure that you're represented. So I talk about the home buying team, okay? And what aspects the home buying team play. What role they play, okay? And why it's important that you need them. A lot of times you don't always call them up. Sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're organized by the seller. Okay, you have one title search company maybe, okay, that does the title search. Okay, but I remember I called the lawyer one time for this house that I wanted to buy, and he went and ran a title search. And I told him, I said, I'm not paying for no title search because I didn't ask you to run one. And he talking about he wanted me to pay him $300 and something. I said, I didn't ask you to run a title search. So that sort of discouraged me from even buying the house. But it really discouraged me from doing business with him as a lawyer. Because you don't, see, when you hire someone to do something, you hire them to do the job that you tell them to do. Okay? And it's a shame that a lot of times people don't respect you, or they take it for granted because they know their job so well, and they've done this many times before, that they just go ahead and do what it is that comes natural for them without getting the permission of the buyer. Okay? Now he ran a title. I don't need a title search. Okay? And the reasons why I didn't is because I was buying a house from the government. And I knew that who the owner was, and I didn't have to, the title search really makes sure that the owner is who they say they are. Okay? And I didn't need that. I never need a title search when I'm buying a government property. And I said, I didn't ask you to buy, and you're going to tell me that I owe him X amount of dollars. I didn't ask you to do that. See, so that promotes a lawsuit right there. Yeah, I'm getting ready to sue the lawyer. So I just didn't do business with him, I said, you run a title search for nothing. I didn't ask you to do that. Don't take it for granted, that I'm going to pay for something that I didn't ask you to do. Okay? And so that's why it's so important to have a lawyer, because You know, the lawyer does things, you know, but it's important to know what you're doing when you're getting involved in the home buying process. It's good to be educated. I always say an educated consumer is my best customer. Because when you come to me, like your elevator don't stop, but me to hold your hand, that doesn't sit too well with me, you know. But if you're a person who's eager to learn and has somewhat of a little bit of a resourcefulness within you, then yeah, we can do business. If you're interested in learning, if you're interested in taking the wheel, you know, so to speak, I say, you know, take the wheel and take control of your situation, you know. Be the head and not the tail. Okay, and then yes, we can talk. Get a copy of the book, read, get educated, then I'll refer you to different places, you know, and then, we'll talk from there. Okay? Now, achieving the home ownership early in your life is to show you how you can get a house now. You know, not that you don't have to wait until you're old and gray to get a house. Okay? You don't have to wait until you're old and gray to buy a house. Okay, the first thing I ask you, is home ownership right for you? Some people just say, oh, I don't want a house because they think that it's too much of a responsibility. Well, it's not that much of a responsibility, not at all. If it's too much of a responsibility, then the place that you're living is too much of a responsibility, because the same way you have to upkeep the place where you're living now is the same upkeep that you're going to have to do when you move into your own home. Only thing, there are additional responsibilities that are not daily responsibilities. Okay? But when you move into a house, everything is checked. The furnace is, going to be in working order, the hot water tank. Okay, all of these different things are going to be, in working order, or up to par, up to code compliance, as it's said. And you'll hear that term a lot. Okay, up to code compliance. And so, you're going to make sure. So if you have to fix a furnace, it's not going to be a daily thing. You pay a water bill, that's not going to be a daily thing. You pay taxes, that's not a daily thing. The upkeep of the house, keeping the house clean, paying the mortgage, okay, which doesn't always come on the first. That's a relief, because when the first of the month comes, you're glad, but then you also said, you'll be like, oh, I got to pay rent now. Well, the mortgage payment can be any time during the course of the month. It could be the end of the month, it could be the middle of the month. And that's a good thing, because the check that you get in the first of the month can be yours to keep. Okay? Now, is home ownership right for you? And my answer is yes, all the way across the board. Yes, home ownership is right for you. Why? Because I have the book, the resources available for you to read, for you to look through. I can counsel you on a group as well as individual basis. We're going to start having some Zoom and maybe some Teams meetings. Okay? And I have a website that I'm putting together that you'll be able to peruse. And it's just a whole bunch of education. You need to get educated. It's not going to take forever to get educated. There are a lot of free services out there that are available for income qualified individuals and families. Okay? And then so I ask you the question about employment. How long have you been employed on the job that you're at? You don't necessarily have to be steadily employed for 2 years on the current job, but it's recommended that you be employed for at least 2 years on the job you had before and the job you have now. Let's say you quit or whatever, you worked there for a year and now you're here for a year and a half. That's fine. Or you're there for a year and you're here for a year. That's good. That's 2 years of steady employment. Okay? We have our ups and downs. All of us do. So don't fret about that. Okay? I ask you questions like, how willing are you to maintain your home, to upkeep the house, to take pride in where you live? You have a backyard, you have a porch, the house that you rent now, you could actually own it if you like it, but of course some people want to have it and get them out of there, but a lot of people like renting houses because they like their own. They don't want to live up under nobody, and I know I don't like living in no two-family, because then the other tenant thinks that you moved into that apartment for their purpose. And then they come knocking on your door, can I borrow this, can I borrow that? oh, you got a car now, can you take me here, can you take me there? You know, or they stand in the hallway, the kids stand in the hallway and then they smoke weed, and you come out your door, you know, to go downstairs to go to work, and now you coming out of there smelling like weed and you ain't smoked a joint in 2 years, you know. So it's a whole lot of people like renting houses, because I rented more single family houses than I rented. It's, you know, certain people like apartments. That's a particular type of people who rent apartments. Other people prefer houses with kids. You know, they want their own. They want to have a door they come out of. When you come out of your house, you want to come out onto the street. You don't want to come out into the building where you got thousands of tenants caping in your face. I can tell you one thing though, and people who lived in apartment buildings, or if you spent the night with somebody who lived in an apartment building, that was a good place to be, because you wouldn't have been alone, you know, but you would have had your family in your house, you know, or wherever, but you was in there. Because remember the snow, it just piled up against the doors. You couldn't even open the door. You know, those of us that survived, thank you God. I mean, there's been some catastrophes, some things that have happened that's like saying God is trying to get your attention, you know. Now, you have to create a budget. I'll help you create a budget, okay, based on how much it is that you currently, the income that you're bringing in versus what you'll be putting out. Now, sometimes doesn't it seem like as soon as you get your hands on some extra money, then now you got all these other bills you got to pay? Isn't that the way it seemed like it is? Well, I just happened to be going over some statistics the other day, and about my book, the Section 8 book, Buying a House with your Section 8 Homeownership Voucher. And I thought about, you know, you could be on a fixed income. You could be on Social Security and still purchase a home, but your credit has to be decent. Of course, that could rule out a lot of people, because you're getting a smaller amount of money. Say you're just getting the check, you know, you haven't worked consistently throughout your life, so you don't have a big check coming in, you have the bare minimum. Okay, so you have that, and then, so your credit may or may not be good, depends, you know, fixed income. Now the mortgage is going to be 30%, generally across the board, don't quote me. Generally across the board, the mortgage is 30% of your income. However, if it depends on what other bills you have, that will constitute whether you can afford the house, whether you're going to have someone else move in with you, help you with the bills or not. Then you have the gas and electric to have to deal with, okay? And then you may have minor repairs. Now, once you buy a home, though, don't get me wrong, you have access to other money. You can borrow money, okay? There's mortgages out there specifically for seniors, okay, that you don't even have to have good credit for. And I'll be talking about that in my workshops. So there's a whole lot of juicy information that we can. So even if you're like, say you're getting the bare minimum Social Security check, you know, whatever you get, that, you know, that constitutes that you didn't work every year, full year, okay, you can still qualify and you can still afford the home. Even if you move into the house by yourself and maintain it alone, you can still qualify. Okay, it'd be better though if you had someone to help you, at least one person that's going to move in with you after you qualify for the mortgage on your Section 8, or you can put the two of you on the deed, you know, but you got to make sure that that person is who you want on the deed, because now half of the house is going to belong to him or her. Just come across, you know, but there's tons of programs available. There's down payment and closing cost assistance available. There's subsidy grants available. Subsidy grant is when you buy a house, let's say the house is $100,000, and that sounds like a lot of money, but don't be scared of the numbers, okay? $100,000 in a subsidy grant will subsidize the actual mortgage. The mortgage would be for $100,000, but the subsidy grant could be up to $30,000, $40,000. So the seller is like, wow, you know, I'm benefiting as a seller, and you're benefiting as the buyer. The seller, I'm selling the house for $100,000, right? You qualify for a subsidy grant. The grant is $40,000. So instead of me waiting 30 years to get, well, I'm not going to be waiting, and the bank is going to be waiting. But let's say in some cases where the owner is selling without the bank, hey, that's $40,000 right back in my pocket, right then and there. And so I'm financing the house, so now I can wait for the other mortgage. I can refinance it or whatever. But the bank can say, hey, now I'm getting 40 grand of my money. That's an incentive for me to loan you the money. Okay, they have well, I don't say bad credit loans. They used to really have that. I remember when I first started out, and I dibbled and dabbled as a loan officer, and they had it was mortgages, and it was for bad credit. They specifically geared toward bad credit, people who had bad credit, and it was a mistake in some cases because a lot of them couldn't afford it, and the interest rates were exorbitantly high, so the mortgage payments were higher than they could afford. The bank knew it, the seller knew it, and the buyer knew it, but they were so anxious to buy the house, they thought they'd never own a house. They got a house with their bad credit, and then they ended up losing the house to foreclosure, and then the bank can't sell it because now it's overpriced. A whole lot of things was going on, forgot what's happening, I can't remember. You come to my workshop, my Zoom, I'll give you all the history you want. But like I said, an educated consumer is my best customer. Now, you may not be ready today to buy a house. You may be thinking, oh, I want to buy a house, you know. You be looking at these buildings, or you be looking at people, or you might be at a job where you talk to people who own homes, and you say, hey, you know, I'd really like to own me a house. But you think that you could never afford one. Well, that's not true anymore. And it never really was. It was the last, I say 30 years, 40 years. That myth is out the window. Everybody can afford it. It's just a matter of what you're willing to do to maintain it. Okay, what you're willing to do, what part you plan on paying in it, you know, because now you're going to have something that belongs to you. You're going to have something that you can leave to your kids, your grandkids, and whatnot. Start them off right from the very beginning. They won't have to struggle like you did. You know what I mean? Or you go somewhere and you buy a house, and now you can help your parents. You know what I mean? You can get them settled in. Or you'll move in together. You know, now you got a home of your own. Remember that picture of Raisin in the Sun, where they bought them a house? You know, they was happy about it. You know, it's a happy feeling. It's a good feeling when you buy a house. You got something that you own. It's yours. You got your name on it. You know, but you have access to more money, more money, more money, more money. Okay, you always have access to money when you own a home. That's the major, major, major benefit of owning a home. You always have access to money. If you can buy the house, you can mortgage the house. Okay, you can get cash out of that house. And that's the purpose. A lot of people don't realize, they don't know enough about. They just know that they want to own a home. Some of them just go and buy a house, and that's it. They sit and they settle and they struggle. Not realizing, hey, I can go right back to the bank and say, Mr. Banker, I need me a second mortgage. You know what I mean? Come on now, give me some more, I need some more money. You know what I mean? You spend all your money in your down payment and everything. Give me some cash. Yeah, you're going to have some mortgages. Now you got 2 mortgages to pay. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to just to sacrifice one thing for something else? That's a question that you're going to have to answer for yourself. Now, I also ask you to monitor your spending habits. You know, try not to go to the store every chance you get. As soon as the money hits your hand, then it start getting hot and burning a hole in your hand, and you can't keep no money because you're right back into the store spending it, buying stuff that you don't even need. You have to try to resist the urge to go to the store every chance you get. Okay? You have to ask yourself, can I afford a down payment? How much can willing to sacrifice? Some things you're going to have to do without. Okay? You're not going to be able to go out to eat. Buy lunch, okay, for work every day. You're going to have to bring your lunch now. And you bring your lunch to work so you can eat lunch at work, so you can take your family out to dinner once a week. And you still have money left over. So you have to sacrifice in order to be able to do certain things and looking towards the future. So you're not looking at the here and the now. You're looking at what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, you can't do nothing about yesterday, but you can show enough change today, and you can alter what you thought was going to happen tomorrow, and make it turn out for your good and for the family's good. Believe me, everybody will be happy, and I'm sure that everybody will be willing to chip in to help maintain that house. Okay? And I also talk about helping you save your house from foreclosure. A lot of people say, well, why are you talking about helping me save my house from foreclosure and I'm buying a house? Because you need to know that. If you miss a mortgage payment, you're on the road to losing your home. Not right away, but, you're on that road. Okay? And don't think it's just going to go away by itself, because it's not. Okay, so, and you say to yourself, oh, foreclosure. Oh, she talked about that. So let me see, let's see what we can do to prevent that. You know what I mean? And I'll give you tips and tricks, how to work out, your foreclosure, your pre-foreclosure situation. Okay. Okay. I talk about credit score, how to monitor your credit score, how to understand your credit score. Okay. What is a credit score? A lot of people don't even know what it is. And that your credit score determines whether you qualify for the house or not. You might be on Section 8 and you have a job. You're an excellent candidate for a house. You might be getting a Social Security check and nothing else. You're an excellent candidate for a house. You can buy a house and be on a fixed income. Don't give up on your life just because you pass a certain age. You still have much life to live. Why you think God preserved you and saved you? And you're still here. So obviously it's for a reason. You be the one to break out. Get your house, and then you can go back and tell the others, like the woman the Samaritan woman at the well. Remember, when she met up with Jesus, she didn't even know who she was talking to, and Jesus said, if you only knew who you was talking to and the gifts that God has for you, you wouldn't be asked, or you wouldn't be afraid, or what have you. And then she went and told everybody, I talked to Jesus, and whatnot. So she became a prophet. So this is your chance to testify to people. You thought you couldn't buy a house, but it turns out that you met up with Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments, and she gave me hope. She showed me some houses. She worked with me for 6 months, and I was in my house in less than a year. You can have your guests over, your company over, have your barbecues, in the backyard in the summertime. People be looking at your house. You be like, yeah, honey, this is me. This is my house here. And just like I own a house, you can own a house too. See, now your time to testify to other people and tell them how they can go about doing it. Don't keep it to yourself. You got to let everybody know. Okay? I talk about credit score. I talk about bill payments, paying your bill on time. If you can't pay your bill on time, there's a way that you can work it out with your creditors or your lenders. Okay? Don't keep silent. That is not the time to keep your mouth shut. And I talk about how to do that. Okay? I talk about, filing complaints. Okay? I talk about things that might be illegal. People with disabilities who want to buy a house. Now, you got to have a house that's specially custom made for you, because your cabinets have to be lower. You have to have a handicap ramp. Okay? All that can be put into a house before you move in with mortgage. And I talk about the types of mortgages that are available to you. To disabled veterans, to disabled individuals and families, as well as non-disabled people and families. Okay, you can own a home and still get around. You just have to have the house custom built, to fit your needs so that you can get around. The areas where you turn, when you go around the kitchen cabinets and stuff, they got to be more space. The cabinets got to be lower so you can get to them. You got to have bathrooms. A bathroom on the first floor. You might want to have a single-story house. I don't know if you want a 2-story house or not, for somebody who's in a wheelchair or what have you, or you can't walk too well. But this house is for everybody. You got single-story houses, you got 2-story houses with an attic and a basement. Okay, there's all kinds of houses that are available. You got townhouses that you can buy. Okay, with basements and 2 stories. There's a whole lot of different houses. Now, there's free education available also for certain first-time home buyers. Of course, you got to qualify, and in some cases you have to take the class in order to qualify for the mortgage. Okay, and I help you along the way. You take the class. Okay, they help you, but I also help you too. Because I'm working with you as your real estate broker. I'll be the one selling you the house. Okay, my family got to eat too. Okay, come on, somebody talk to me up in here. I talk about government, bank, and mortgage foreclosures. I talk about tax foreclosures. I talk about all kinds of different kinds of foreclosures available. I talk about the different types of houses that you can get, the different types of mortgages that are available, the grants that are available, low interest rate loans, the types of mortgages. I think I said that. Okay. And like I said, the home buying team. I talk about the home buying team, who's involved in the real estate transaction that you're going to be involved in. I talk about predatory lending. Okay, you have to be aware of that, because a lot of them, believe me, they'll see you coming. They don't, you don't know what you're talking about. They'll see right through you. That's why I educate you as much as possible. In some cases, I come with you. Okay, I call them for you. I let you do the calling, and I sit right there and whatnot, and then we talk to the banker, or you talk to the banker, and they ask me, who is she? She's licensed. She's my realtor. She's the one that's selling me the house. She's the one that introduced me to the home buying process, and we come here to talk to you about the home buying process. I know one time I went to a bank inside, and I asked them, do you offer these types of mortgages? And he's looking at me like he don't know what I'm talking about. So he had to get up and go ask somebody, and he came back, and he still didn't know. So I said, well, this is not the person that I would want to deal with. Somebody who's not just because he didn't know, but because he wasn't willing to find out what it was all about. Okay, now I'm not going to sit here and educate you and you the banker. I'm the realtor. I got the job to do. If I'm going to help educate you on the banking portion of it, then I'm going to get that commission too. Okay? I talk about shopping for a house. I show you a bunch of different houses, that are available, the different types of houses, where to look, what to look for. I show you houses on the inside. I show you what to look for, okay, in terms of what kind of house. You get in your mind and you draw on a piece of paper, sometimes the kind of house that you're looking for, so that when we look at some houses, you'll pretty much know what kind of house you want. I know the kind of house that I want. I always like a house with an attic. If it doesn't have an attic, that's fine, as long as it has a basement. It's got to have a basement. I prefer a finished basement. If it's not finished, then I'll get it finished, if it's the house that I own. If it's not finished, and I rent it, I would probably still rent it. Okay, but it has to have the 2 stories in the basement at least. But I prefer the attic because that's extra room. You got all of this room now. You can either turn it into some more bedrooms, or you can have it as a playroom or a man cave, or pretty much anything. It'd be a playroom for the kids. You can make it a cat house. You can have your animals up there. That could be where they play at. You got all of this room that you can do something with. And that's the best part about having all of that house. I talk about the different types of dwellings. There are houses, there are condominiums, there are townhouses. Okay, there are co-ops that you can actually invest in. I talk about the different types of those. Okay, and what have you. Oh, there's also modular homes, which I talk about. Okay, they used to call them trailer parks, but I forgot what they call them now. But I talk about those as well. Although as a developer or as a real estate broker, yes, I would probably invest in and getting the rent. But as a tenant, I don't think I would want to buy. Well, today I want to thank you for joining me today. My name is Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments. And I was talking to you today about my book, Achieving the Dream of Homeownership Early in Your Life. And it's a step-by-step guide to buying a house. And it would definitely be of interest to you to get. Okay, it's available on the websites listed in the bottom of the screen. And I ask you to join me next time. And I ask you to holler at the sister. Peace out.